you ever felt weird that someone's staring you? Maybe when you're walking alone at night or scrolling through your phone. What if it wasn't just a feeling? That's exactly what happens in I'm Watching You by Mary Burton, a chilling mystery that will keep you on edge. Today, we'll step into the crime scene, follow the clues, and try to unmask the killer. But be warned, nothing is as it seems. The night is cold, the streets are empty, and in the silence of the city, something horrific has just happened. A woman's lifeless body is found in an alleyway, posed almost like a work of art. But this is no ordinary crime scene. It's a message, a warning, and the person who needs to hear it is journalist Lindsay O'Neill. Lindsay is woken up in the middle of the night by a call. Her hands tremble as she answers. A familiar voice, heavy with tension.
Lindsay, you need to come down here, now. It's Detective Zach here.
And from the way his voice sounds, she knows something is wrong. She arrives at the scene, her breath visible in the cold air. The flashing lights of police cars cast long shadows. Officers whisper, cameras flash, and then, she sees her, the victim. But what sends a shiver down Lindsay's spine isn't just gruesome way the woman was killed. Its victim looks just like her. Same hair, identical build, a resemblance so close it's unsettling. And then, Lindsay peeks something else, something chilling. The woman is clutching a small locket that Lindsay recognizes, because it belonged to her mother. But how? How did it get here? Who would have it? And more importantly, what does it mean? Zach looks at Lindsay, his eyes filled with unspoken questions. He doesn't say it out loud, but she knows what he's thinking. This isn't just another case. It's personal. And if this is a message, it means the killer isn't done yet. Somewhere in the city, someone is watching. They blend into the darkness, unseen, invisible. Every movement, every breath. They have been watching Lindsay for a long time. And now, it's finally time to make her look them as well. Zach starts pulling at threads, trying to unravel the mystery. Who was the victim? Why was she chosen? And why does she resemble Lindsay so much? The answers don't come easily, but after, something clicks. The victim had recently filed a police report. She believed someone had been following her, watching her, leaving strange notes on her doorstep. But before the police could investigate further, she was dead. The letters were with one chilling phrase, I'm watching you. Lindsay's hands shake as she flips through the reports. Because suddenly, she remembers. Years ago, she had received similar letters. Strange calls in the night. A feeling that someone was always there, lurking just out of sight. She had convinced herself it was paranoia, that it was all in her head. But now, she isn't so sure. Subsequently, another body is found. Similar pattern. Another woman who looks like Lindsay. And with her, additional message. This time, scrawled onto a mirror in red, you should have seen me sooner. The killer isn't just sending a message. They're taunting her. It's random. This is personal. And somewhere in Lindsay's past, lies the answer. The deeper Zach and Lindsay dig, the more disturbing the truth becomes. The killer isn't choosing random victims. He's recreating something. Something from Lindsay's childhood. But what? A memory tugs at her mind. A dark house. A locked door. A voice telling her to
stay quiet.
But whose voice? And why can't she remember? Zach follows a lead, a name that keeps surfacing in both murders. Matt, Lindsay's ex-husband. He was controlling, obsessive, always keeping track of her movements. He had the means, the motive. But something doesn't sit right. Because if Matt was behind it, why would he leave clues that point back to him? It's plain as day. Thereafter, alternative twist. It's small, old, something that could easily be ignored. But when Lindsay sees it, her stomach drops. This isn't just a key. It's her key. One she hasn't seen in years. One that unlocks a place she'd never return to. This key belonged to the house where she grew up. A house filled with memories and shadows. And suddenly, everything starts making sense. The crime scenes, the items left behind, the familiarity. The killer isn't just watching her. They're forcing her to remember. A woman comes forward, a survivor. Someone who barely escaped the killer's grasp. Her voice shakes as she tells them, he's been watching for years. He doesn't choose at random. He already knows his next victim. The question is, does Lindsay know him too? Somewhere in the pages of her past, lies the answer to who is behind it all. And once she finds it, the game will be over. But will she solve it in time? Time is running out. Lindsay can feel it. Every moment that passes brings her closer to the truth, or near to becoming the next victim. Consequently, it happens. A clue, one that changes everything, or something, entity buried deep in her past. But why? What could be so important about an old house? Furthermore, why is the killer leading her there? Zach doesn't like it. It's a trap, he warns. And maybe it is. But Lindsay knows she has no choice. If she ever wants to stop this nightmare, she has to go back to where it all began. The house is exactly how she remembers it. Cold, silent, the air thick with forgotten ghosts. Front door creaks open, as if welcoming her back. She steps inside. The wooden floor groans under her weight. The smell of aged paper and dust fills her lungs. After that, a sound. She freezes. It's faint, almost like a breath against her neck. But when she turns around, there's no one there. She follows the hallway, past the memories, previous whispers of a childhood she barely understands, until she reaches a door, the one she was never allowed to open as a child. Her fingers tremble as she lifts the key. It slides in effortlessly. The lock clicks. The door creaks open. And then, she sees it. A wall covered in photographs. Of her. Of the victims. Every moment of her life. Documented. Tracked. Obsessed over. And then, she hears it. A breath. Not her own. A shadow moves in the corner. And she realizes she's not alone. The truth is finally here. The killer steps into the light, and Lindsay's blood turns to ice. Because it's not who she expected. A person she trusted. Someone she once loved. The killer is her father's old friend. A man who had been part of her childhood. Someone she never even thought to suspect. He smiles, tilting his head. "I knew you'd come back," he whispers. "Because you belong to me." And suddenly, it all makes sense. The letters, the murders, the obsession. He had been watching her for years, waiting for the moment to bring her home. And if she hadn't figured it out, she would have been next. But he's made a mistake, because Zach is outside, and he isn't alone. A struggle is over. The killer is caught. The nightmare ends. Lindsay stands outside the house, staring at the place where it all began, and a place almost ended. She is safe, but she will never be the same. As the police take the killer away, he turns to her one last time, and with a chilling smile, he whispers,
"I'll always be watching."
but this time, Lindsay isn't afraid, because she finally knows the truth, and she'll never let the darkness win again. So, did you see that twist coming? Or were you just as shocked as Lindsay? If you love books that make your heart race, Watching You is a must-read. But tell me, what's your favorite mystery novel? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. Because in this world of mystery, you never know what's lurking in the shadows.